Harbaugh yesterday I thought was interesting. All the hoopla, all the big fuss about the Giants getting John Harbaugh. And it's a huge get. We know that. It's the right hire. We know that. But ultimately, it comes down to winning games, not winning press conferences. And the applauses at these things, the nauseating questions by the media, the ass kissing and arrogance that takes place within the New York Giants facilities. Oh, it is intolerable for a team that has been as bad as the Jets. No offense, Bada Booms. I know you're a big Jet fan. You can't be worse than the New York Football Giants have been over the last decade plus. They're on par with the Jets. That's how bad it's been. He's got a lot of work to do. It's why I didn't think Harbaugh would take the job. But then I realized that if it were maybe up to John himself, he wouldn't have taken the job. We should all be thanking Jack Harbaugh for getting John Harbaugh, because Jack's old enough to remember when the Giants were good. That's what sold him. Jack Harbaugh, in his, that's his father, in his memory, he remembers the Giants being good. I mean, they're talking about O.J. Anderson and Stephen Baker, the touchdown maker. I mean, that's what they're referencing. That's a long time ago. I know, obviously, the Giants have won more recently than that, but we exaggerate for effect. The Giants haven't been good in a long time. But Jack Harbaugh remembers the New York Football Giants and the prestige of the Giants organization. And that's what sold his son. And I understand that no matter how bad it has gotten for Big Blue, they'll always be the New York Football Giants. But that shouldn't distract us from how bad it's been. It shouldn't distract us from a general manager that looked like he was going to pee down his leg as he was introducing Harbaugh yesterday, talking about this was the guy we identified from the beginning. We wanted somebody that has had success and a pedigree and winning and this and that. Dude, Harbaugh wasn't even available when you started. What are you talking about? Joe Schoen couldn't be more lost, and he couldn't have come across worse yesterday in that initial introduction. He was like shaking. He was more nervous than I was when the first time I was on with Mike and Chris. Or when Frances used to have me do picks. Time for the Sal special. You could ask Eddie Erickson this one day. Not that you would, but I used to quiver. I was so nervous before I hit that on-air button. You could understand it. I mean, the greatest show in the world. I couldn't even believe I was being on the air. But that was, and I used to take those, you could hear him breathing. The search was, we left no stone unturned, and the search led us to Harbaugh, to John, and we love John, and we thank his family for being here. I mean, Joe, take a deep breath. You're not fired yet. I mean, relax. You're good. You're safe for now. Harbaugh's approved you for now. Oh, my God. And that just tells you everything you need to know about Joe Schoen. He should have never been around to even make this decision. But the best part of the Harbaugh hire is that Joe Schoen has, I was going to say no more say, but you get the point. He doesn't have final say. So he has basically become irrelevant. He's going to be another sounding board for John Harbaugh. Nobody's going to do it on their own. It's going to be a collaborative effort. Sure, with John Harbaugh saying, I like this guy, take him. What do you think of this guy? Okay, let's talk this out. But Harbaugh is going to be making the decisions, and that's why we were so desperately in need of one of the New York football teams hiring a real coach with that track record, especially in the Giants' case, to not have Joe Schoen be the focal point. And that's where we're at with Harbaugh. That's the important thing here. Now, there, like we said, there is an undertaking that's going to have to take place, and he's going to bring in the right players, get rid of the right players, and start to win some football games. Ultimately, that's what matters. But it's nice to have a proven commodity that you don't have to worry about some of these guys who don't know what they're doing. Joe Schoen can talk a good game, and they can talk about how, he's got a brought in good talent. He didn't even want Jackson Dart. That was Dable. Good God. So Harbaugh should have final say. He does have final say. They could try to minimize all they want, and they did yesterday with Harbaugh, with his coach speak, and the football, New York Football Giants. Yeah, we get it. Just go out there and start winning. And the bigger deal is that he now oversees all that's going on with football. Chris Mara, you give him credit. John Mara, you give him credit. The Giants ownership got the job done getting Harbaugh in here, but now it's got a result to win. So for the applause that went on yesterday and for all the bows that the big, bad, great, historic New York football Giants franchise and Big Blue were taking, doesn't mean squat. They've won press conferences before. Doesn't mean squat until they win games. And by the way, if the Giants were such a great, well-run, well-functioning organization that would be so appealing to the masses, what took him so long to find a real head coach? What took you so long? Jim Harbaugh was available years ago. I was begging and pleading for you to get him. Why do you want him? And by the way, I think Jim is better than John. I'd rather have Jim coaching my team than I would John. I'm not knocking John. He's a great coach, and it was the right hire, but they could have had Jim years ago. So why didn't they? Shermer, Joe Judge, Dable. I mean, do we need to go over the list of Giant head coaches that have failed? McAdoofus. Think about it. So if they were so smart and so well run and so brilliant and the high and mighty prestigious New York football Giants, what took them so long to get a real head coach? It shouldn't have. Why have they been so god-awful for the last 12 years? I mean, at some point we'll move on. And you know what that point is? When they actually start winning. Not when they hire a head coach. That's a great hire and a great head coach with a lot of potential to turn this thing around. I actually need to see the wins. Jackson Dart's no given. The Giants roster is no given by any stretch. Harbaugh took over a team that won 13 games the year before Billick got fired. I think it was 13 wins for Billick. Then they won like 5 games or something bad. Then Harbaugh took over. This is a true buildup of a program that hasn't won squat in a very long time.